This is the Vinyl Chamber podcast with Matt and Steph.
Once upon a time there was a tavern where we used to raise a glass or two. Remember how we laughed away the hours. Think of all the great things we would do. Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We'd live the life we choose. We'd fight and never lose, for we were young and sure to have our way. Then the busy years went rushing by us.
Yes, well, this sounds like an old song, and just looking at it whilst it was playing there, and it sounds like it is an old song that was generated. Or revisited? What can you tell us about this, Matt? Mary Hopkin. I don't know much about her.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's the Apple. The number is Apple II. It's the second number on the Apple label after Hey Jude. Even though Hey Jude is not numbered to Apple I, confusingly. Being the youngest of three children has its advantages in terms of musical understanding, and this certainly implies the case of Welsh singer Mary Hopkin, it's hard to describe how big she was at the end of the 60s and the early 70s, and very early memory for me is Knock Knock Who's There, which was our entry into the 1970 Eurovision Song Contest, actually won by Dana. But she was another singer that came through Opportunity Knocks, the ITV show presented by Hughie Green. Lots of artists have come through there, and it's actually that quintessential 60s icon Twiggy that recommended Mary Hopkin to Paul McCartney. McCartney was always the driving force when it came to new projects, and he was looking for new artists for Apple, and Twiggy recommended Mary Hopkin.
Right.
Now, you mentioned it's an old song. Yes, it is an old song. It's a Russian folk song dating back to the 1920s. Then it was found it probably needed English lyrics to reach the top of the UK charts, and that was there was an American folk singer, actually a musician and playwright called Gene Raskin, who put new lyrics to it. And I think the lyrics are a very important part of this story's success. It's a theme we can all relate to, isn't it? I think there's an element of nostalgia to this podcast, but those were the days it's people remembering happy times. Those were the days they were. I thought they'd never end, etc., etc. As you get older, perhaps you realise that nostalgia, looking back, is part of the human condition. I think that's what this song is, and it definitely has that Eastern European feel about it.
It does.
McCartney produced it, and he kept loyal to that sound. There's a balalaka in there. There's a clarinet, a dulcimer, and a tenor banjo. All kind of gives it a slightly Yiddish feel.
Yeah.
It
does.
Which and people loved it. The people loved it. And it was number one for 6 weeks. Now there's a Bowie link here. Do you know what the Bowie link is here, Steph? David Bowie?
No.
It's unfair to put you on the spot like that. Well, Mary Hopkin, who was huge at this time. She's only very young. She was born in 1950, so she's 18, 19 when this comes around. Girl next door. Long blonde hair, sweet voice. She marries Tony Visconti, who of course was the main one of most famous for his work with David Bowie's production work. After marrying Visconti, she virtually disappeared from public life, virtually, to bring up a family. I say she did come back, and I'm pleased to say that she's still working actually. But
yes, so she is.
She was huge at this time. She was absolutely, Knock Knock, Who's There? Tema Harbour was another one. Goodbye, she had a number 2 hit in the follow-up to this, also written by McCartney. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying McCartney plays acoustic guitar actually on Those Were the Days.
Right.
But number 1 for 6 weeks and it's become almost like a standard.
Yes, it's
really,
it lasts. It's quite long too. I mean, Those Were the Days. It seems to go on for days. It lasts for over 5 minutes, and it's quite a yarn. But they get there in the end.
I didn't realise it was so long. Actually, didn't realise it was that long. Actually,
it says 5 minutes.
It's in a nice minor key.
Yeah,
which gives it that kind of like Russian kind of sound,
Well, it does, but what's interesting, it's actually quite fun to play on the piano, this, because the transition where it goes, so those were the days, my friends, so that's minor. To transition then to the next chord, it modulates from the major to the minor to the major to get, so if it's, I think it's in A minor, and then you go from A minor to the A major to get to the D minor. And it's kind of a transition, and it's fun to do. So as a pianist, I quite enjoy playing that one. But it's quite a cute little ditty. I don't really know what else to say about it, really. But it's nice to see that she's still working. She last released an album actually just in 2023. So.
But as I said, it's difficult to recall how big she was, and she was really going to be the next big thing. Right. She had a good voice, I think, in terms of its for what it was, and let's say she chose Family Life over, not stardom exactly, but she never quite regained the popularity she'd had. But I think she's didn't she work with her daughter at some stage, Jessica something?
Morgan, yes, Jessica. That appears to be
Jessica Morgan.
Yes, the last album that she did was with her daughter, and I think her son played on it too. So it's good. It's good to see. I like it when we look at these artists, and obviously the first thing that one is tempted to do is to see to check whether they're still around, and when they are, and is one thing that's quite heartening. But if they're still working, that's even more. That's even more of a bonus. So particularly when we're talking about 1968.
And now I think we're going to go. I know this is your job, Steph, but we're going to go for what is largely considered one of the greatest cover versions of any Beatles song ever. Yeah,
and sadly, Joe Cocker is no longer with us, but he certainly left a legacy, and this is one of his most famous. Of course, one of his most famous. Let's have a quick blast of this.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. I will try not to sing out of key. Yeah. Oh baby, how all I need is my brother. I say I'm gonna get high. What do I do when my love is away?
Does it worry you to be alone?
No, no.
Yeah, well, I love that. That's just fantastic. Right from that eerie, it starts with that eerie organ motif, and you think, where's this going?
Fantastic, that organ.
It is.
Fantastic organ. Played by Tommy Eyre, actually.
Yes.
who went on to work with Wham, of course. But Tommy Eyre, I love that intro, Steph. Tommy Eyre, I love that organ piece. It's so atmospheric and just a great way to start the song. And again, you wouldn't have known just listening to that you're going to go into With Little Help from My Friends. And got Jimmy Page on guitar, of course. You know, that howling guitar work. Joe Cocker, you know, one of Sheffield's most famous gas fitter, as I prefer to know him. Famously, well, I think it's famous. You know, was working for the gas board as an apprentice fitter. And I think this is not just one of the greatest covers of a Beatles song ever, but one of the greatest covers of any song. I think it's that good. Not to be confused with another J. Cocker from Sheffield, of course, Jarvis Cocker, which is a little bit confusing, isn't it? No relation, but apparently the two families may have known each other. It's a quite extraordinary rendering of With a Little Help from My Friends, which, if anyone doesn't know, it was a McCartney number off Sgt. Pepper, which was handed to Ringo Starr for lead vocals. The Beatles version's got some great bass playing by McCartney. This is an absolute such a great rendering of that number. You know, it's Cocker almost wrestling the song away from the Beatles and making it his own, not in an aggressive way, but just a sort of like.
Well, he changes the melody, really. Particularly
changes the melody, changes the chords. He'd earlier done a very good cover in his own right as a solo artist of "I'll Cry Instead," which is I think a Lennon number actually off A Hard Day's Night. It was really, really good. That was on the Decca label. Now he finds himself on Regal's Zonophone in the late 60s. And found instant success with this number, and rightly so. And again, you know, his performance at Woodstock is absolutely legendary. So, you know, Cocker didn't just have a great voice; he was also visually very arresting as well. You know, he really threw himself into the song. And check out the Woodstock live version of this, because it's. It also, you know, this song contains one of the most sort of blood-curdling screams ever committed to record, I think, at the end. And it's just an absolutely wholehearted, magnificent vocal performance by Cocker, isn't it? And just a brilliant version.
And a great band performance. So we've got Jimmy Page on guitar, Tommy Eyre, as you said, on keyboards, who later did work with Wham, of all people. And interestingly, B.J. Wilson played drums.
He did.
Who, of course, was the drummer with Procol Harum, who had a huge hit the year before with Whiter Shade of Pale, which actually Bill Iden played on. He was a session drummer. So B.J. Wilson didn't play on that, but I think he joined Procol Harum around the time that he played on this track. And so
I think it's important to say that McCartney himself was absolutely blown away with this version, by the way, Steph.
Oh, that's good to
hear. He thought it was absolutely magnificent.
Yeah. And
of course, then after he had a follow-up with Delta Lady, and then a reworking of the Box Tops' The Letter, which is another song I think we had to go out in Sheepdip. And then I'm afraid it's that old, it's that old familiar tale of 1970s tale of booze and drugs and excess. And he basically, I think in his own words, he says he spent the entire 70s drunk or drug-addled or whatever. He sort of disappeared. I mean, he was working, but he, and then of course he turns up in '83 with Jennifer Warnes.
Jennifer Warnes, was it that?
Up Where We Belong, the soundtrack to Officer and a Gentleman.
Well, he made it to the age of 70, which isn't bad, and I think he was working for right up until 2012, so he didn't do too badly, considering he I think he died in 2014. But yes, that's definitely a highlight of this year, and certainly drags the general standard up quite considerably, actually. If we look at the arc of this year, so all right, now Matt, you've told me that you want to just introduce The Good and Bad and the Ugly by the Hugo Montenegro Band before I play it. What was this about? This is obviously the theme tune to the eponymous. Oh, is that the right word? It's the film of the same.
Well, no.
Sorry, it's obviously
yes.
the theme to the film of the same name. Was this the version that featured on the film, or was that played by?
No, it wasn't.
No, okay.
No, it wasn't.
Right.
But I mean, what I want to say about this is it's such an incredibly evocative piece of music, which immediately conjures up desert scenes and cowboys wearing ponchos, and so much to talk about here, really, Steph. Before we hear it, we've got Hugh Montenegro himself, Ennio Morricone, Sergio Leone, the great director, Alessandroni, Igione Lardini, before we've even started talking about Clint Eastwood, Eli Wallach, and Lee Van Cleef. So let's hear it, and I mean, let's just imagine the great scenes and the great landscape of Sergio Leone's films.
Lee Van Cleef, yes. All right, that's who that's fine. Montenegro, what can you tell us about him?
Well, I mean, I could talk. Yeah, I mean, often that mistake is made. Actually, I mean, I could talk a long time about Montenegro. I mean, but there's a lot to talk about here. He was a 43-year-old New Yorker, and he was basically a highly accomplished composer, arranger, and orchestral conductor. Now. Yeah, he was the orchestra leader, but arguably the musical genius here is Ennio Morricone, who came from Rome. He was 40 in 68. Now, he was hired by spaghetti western director Sergio Leone to compose music for A Fistful of Dollars. And it was there that Morricone showed his prowess for creating these extraordinary, haunting scores, which were the perfect backdrop to the, an unusual sound involving kind of grunts, shouts, cries, whistles. And what he did on A Fistful of Dollars, he repeated again on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. If anyone's not familiar with the film, The Good is Clint Eastwood, the Bad is Lee Van Cleef, and the Ugly is Eli Wallach. Surely one of the most famous theme tunes in the entire cinema history. I do think, I'm going to sound a bit snobbish here and a bit lovey, but I do think it's best appreciated over the wonderful opening title sequence with that artwork by Eugenio Lardani, who designed those great blood red title sequence with the big black lettering. This, the first question you asked, Steph, it's a very good one, is that this is a cover version of the theme tune from the 1966 film. It's very loyal to it. Now, it features a distinctive sound of an instrument, and I didn't know this, called an ocarina, which was sort of like a Mexican, almost like a flute. I wasn't aware of it, actually, but I've seen a picture of it subsequently, and it looks like an ancient instrument. But I believe that gets gives that wonderful sound, and that was played by Art Smith, by the way, and then the lovely harmonica, one of my favourite instruments, actually played by Tommy Morgan. I'm not sure I know who plays the twangy electric guitar on the cover version. I think on the on the film version, I think it's played by a guitarist called Pino Ruscia and Bruno Battistin Damario. I think I've pronounced that right. But I haven't been able to establish who plays the guitar on the Humans in Negro version. Anyone, on the off chance anyone knows for sure, please let me know or let us know, or perhaps you can find it, Steph. I mean, to me, it's what I love about it is what I said at the start. It's a piece of music that can instantly create a mental image with me. It immediately takes you to a time and a place, and for me, that's a combo of Clint Eastwood wearing just that level of stubble, which 20 years later will become known as designer stubble, and those great graphics by Eugenio Lardani on the opening sequence. I think it's a great song. I'm surprised it was number one for 4 weeks, but it shows it's another quirk in this unusual year, really, Steph. But suffice to say, I think it's an absolutely wonderful piece of music.
Well, it's number one for 4 weeks, and that took us into December, and we're now at the last song of this year, which was the Christmas number one, and took us to the end of the year. This is a song which I remember being heavily requested on Junior Choice, which we talked about earlier in the discussion. So let's have a quick blast of Lily the Pink.
We'll drink to Lily the Pink, the saviour of the human race. For she invented medicinal compound, most efficacious in every case.
Mr. Frears had sticky out ears, and it made him awful shy, and so they gave him medicinal compound, and now he's learning how to fly. Brother Tony was known to be bony, he would never eat his meal, and so they gave him medicinal compound, and now they move him round on wheels.
Drink to Lily the Pink, the saviour of the human race. For she invented medicinal compound, was efficacious in every case.
Old Ebenezer thought he was Julius Caesar, and so they put him.
Yes. Well, I was just doing a bit of Googling there whilst I was listening to that. I didn't realise. Well, Matt, tell us who featured on that track.
Well, I mean, first of all, is it the only song in musical history that contains the word efficacious? Surely it is. Do you know Tim Rice co-produced it?
Yeah.
Tim Rice co-produced it, and he also does the
He was one of the backing vocalists as well.
Yeah, I mean, for start, like you, this is right at the start of my kind of memory. It's another song you probably couldn't write today, as it mocks obesity, alcoholism, stammering, mental illness, and various other physical characteristics like freckles.
It's not kind, yeah.
No, it's not, but it's comedic, you know, and there's no malice involved.
And sticking out
I like
ears.
Scaffold. Yeah, big ears, exactly. Yeah, they were interesting. John Gorman, of course, Paul McCartney's brother, Michael McCartney, known as Mike McGear, and Roger McGough, the poet. They came out of Liverpool, early '60s. They made their name performing poetry and comedy sketches. They were pretty left field and frankly quite surreal, but highly original. And then mid '60s, they started doing out and out pop records, albeit with humorous bent. And it first entered the charts in '67 with "Thank You Very Much," and if people had known what or personally who the Aintree Iron was, thank you very much for the Aintree Iron, it might not have been a staple on Junior Choice through the '70s. Okay. Also said to be Harold Wilson's favourite song. Graham Nash is on this. He formerly of the Hollies and Crosby, Stills and Nash. He sings the Jennifer Eccles verse. Jennifer Eccles being a single by the Hollies early that year. And Jack Bruce of Cream fame played bass. Now he'd also played bass on Pretty Flamingo by Manfred Mann, and he was just about to. He was with Cream at this stage, and Look, as a kid, I absolutely loved
Reg Dwight sang backing vocals on this as well.
Reg Dwight sang backing vocals. Yeah, I was aware of that, but I'd forgotten it. So well done for bringing it out. You better just tell anyone who doesn't know Reg Dwight who it is. Go on, Steph.
Reg Dwight is Elton John, of course, and but at that time he was in a band called Bluesology. This is before he broke through as a solo artist, but probably just before, because I think his first album came out in 1969, if memory serves. But anyway,
this was an old. This had found sort of. This was an old sort of rugby club drinking song. You can see people drinking this with sort of like foaming pints of beer in those 60s jugs and things, can't you? And I've got to tell you, actually, I mean, obviously, so Scaffolds. I think they're really, really interesting. John Gorman turns up, of course, on Tiswas in the early 80s. Now, Roger McGough, well known as that kind of a beat poet. I've got a story about Roger McGough. I had the pleasure of meeting Roger McGough when I actually worked in corporate communications for the Post Office Royal Mail. I was there at the Millennium. Now, Roger McGough, the Post Office commissioned Roger McGough to write a poem to celebrate the millennium, and he came into we had a little, it wasn't exactly a recording studio, we had a sort of media area where we could do some sort of recording and stuff. So it was a big day, and then, I worked together with this. We brought in a special recording engineer, he's all set up, to do this.
Did you ask him about this?
No, I didn't, but here's the story. So we went in. So Roger McGough said, "You've got your poem ready, Roger McGough?" We were paying him, he was paying him okay, making it worth his while. And the recording engineer was there. He was saying, "I've got to be away quite quickly. I haven't got long." This could have either gone two ways. So, a poem for the millennium. What are you expecting? What are you expecting from a poem for the millennium? The engineer puts all the sounds on. Roger McGough says one line. He says two lines, and then finishes. And then the engineer said, "Is that it?" So basically, it was a 2-line poem by McGough to Scott. I can't even remember what it was. But Roger, if you're listening, please don't sue us.
I'm going to tag him now. I'm going to tag him on this.
Yeah, tag him now. But I remember the engineer saying, completely inappropriate, "Is that it?" It's kind of like, and I must admit, I was expecting a slightly longer poem, and I've googled it.
What was that? David Bowie's song? Was it 6-line poem?
8-line poem. 8-line poem.
Couldn't even manage 8 lines.
Yeah. He couldn't manage it, but I've googled it on looked at it and tried to say Roger McGough Millennium poem, and haven't found any trace of it.
Did you pay him?
Well, I do. We really are entering into legal territory. I do remember Roger McGough speaking to him about 6 weeks later and said, "You haven't paid me for that yet."
Okay.
I don't know. It wasn't my reading.
We're paying you by the line.
Yeah, here's a check for £15. Yeah, yeah. So
the Scaffold, all three of them, they're all still alive, actually.
And they're great Scaffold. I mean, that song Liverpool Lou, didn't they, in 1974, which was kind of, I really liked that, and I really liked Do You Remember, which was a song of theirs in '68. I've got the best. In fact, I've got the best of Scaffold here, Steph. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, I can see that. Yes.
My CV collection, and of course they sang the theme tune to the Liver Birds.
Oh, right, that was them, was it? Okay, yeah.
It was indeed. And, so I think that's quite a happy way to end a very interesting year, Steph, where the quality has ebbed and flowed. We've gone from absolutely world beaters to world losers, I suppose. We've had some great numbers in this year. We've had some shockers.
Well, as we've said before, particularly when we covered 1976, Matt, that's the beauty of what we're doing, is that it covers a wide spectrum of quality and imagination, these titles, and it's for different reasons. It's the joy to talk about each of them, and the way that, for example, in the space of a few months, I Pretend by Des O'Connor is juxtaposed almost with the help of my friends, is just the beauty of this discussion, really.
Yeah, and I think we return to that theme that we talked about. We must remember '68 as being a very, very important year, a very difficult year, a very a year that was about war and protest, and also that in terms of music, again, that development where bands were not abandoning the singles market, but focusing their efforts more and more on albums and creating that kind of vacuum in the charts for bubblegum or crooning like I Pretend. But it's great that numbers like Fire can come through, and there's been some great numbers. Is it now we have to do our favourite songs of the year?
Number one. Yes, and I shan't surprise you like I did last time by suggesting it's at the top 3. I think one would be sufficient in this particular year. For me, it's I'll go first this time. For me, it is going to be Hey Jude. Clearly, this is a song which made an impression on me at the very early stage in my development, and it is a song which is not diminished by its ubiquity or constant presence throughout the 60 years that I've been around. It's just a wonderful piece of art. It's just a wonderful song.
Yeah, and I feel almost embarrassed as someone as a sort of dyed-in-the-wool Beatles fan. Probably it's fair to say a bit more than you are, Steph. But you've chosen that. And I'm not going to choose a Beatles number, and I'm actually going to go a bit left field on this, and I'm actually going to go for Everlasting Love by Love Affair, because I think it's an absolutely. I mean, it's not to say it's a better song than Hey Jude. I just think it's a joyous evocation of what pop music's about, and I think it's yes, it's heavily produced by and arranged by Keith Mansfield. No, Love Affair are not playing on that, apart from the vocalist Steve Ellis. But I think it's just a wonderfully joyous piece of music.
Yes, I agree. All right, Matt. Well, that's been another stimulating discussion. Just before we sign off, I was hoping you could indulge me with a bit of a shout out that I'd like to make, because whilst this is a show, obviously, which is devoted to history, it's also about number ones, and I just want to acknowledge the current UK number one artist, which is Ray, who, and I'm delighted that an artist of her calibre is having such success, because I was late to the party with her debut album, which is so far I think is her only album, which came out in 2023. It's called My 21st Century Blues. And this album is just a triumph. I don't know if you're familiar with her work, are you, Matt?
Some of it through my daughter.
Right.
Not. I wouldn't pretend to be intimately acquainted with it.
She's clearly a young woman who knows her music, because in that album I hear Nina Simone, I hear Billie Holiday, I hear more recently, I hear 70s soul, I hear Philly sound, I hear Donna Summer, Lauryn Hill, I hear Jill Scott, Amy Winehouse, Erykah Badu. She's clearly somebody who's drawn from a wide spectrum of influences, but that's not taking anything away from the fact that she's an extraordinary vocalist who very much has her own unique approach and her own unique sound. And the production value of this album and the musicianship of her rhythm section are fantastic. I would urge you, if you haven't already done so, to have a listen to that, Matt, when you get the chance. And I think you'll be particularly impressed with the musicianship on it. But it's nice to be able to talk about current number one as well as a historical one, and so I just thought I would conclude with that. Matt, is anything you'd want to add before we sign off?
No, not at all. I'll be applying my mind to the next year, and I've already got an idea.
All right. Well, I don't yet know what that is, and I like the fact that you choose the years, because it's for a moment there. It's a surprise. It's as much a surprise to me as it is for anybody else. So
it's going to be a more. We're going to go forward in history.
More recent. Okay. Back. All right. Well, there's a teaser.
Still probably ancient history for a lot of listeners, but certainly in terms of our. It's certainly more modern than '68. But the beauty of this bit is we see the the movement. I'm glad we're not doing it sequentially. Actually,
no, that wouldn't be fun at all.
Haphazardly, because we can hark back, look forward. We know the kind of story. It's just a more beneficial way of doing it. So shortly we will be revealing that new year.
All right. We're going to sign off with Wilson Pickett. Matt, thank you. It's been it's been emotional as always, and I will catch you next time.
Will do, Steph.
Cheers.
All the best.
Yep. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let her in your heart. Then you can start to make it better. Hey Jude, don't be afraid. You were made to go out and get her. The minute you let her under your skin, then you'll begin to make it better. Anytime you feel the pain, hey Jude, refrain. Don't carry the world upon your shoulder. For you know that it's a fool who plays it cool by making the world a little bit colder. Hey Jude, don't let me down. You found her, now go on out and get her. But remember to let her in your heart. Then you can start to make it better. So let it out and let it in. Hey Jude, begin. You waited for someone to perform with. And don't you know that it's just you? Hey Jude, you do the movements you need. It's on your shoulder. Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song, make it better. Just remember to let her under your skin. Then you'll begin to make it better.